Look at that pass. Rick Barry. Look at that shot, would you?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Barry wants to make a move and sweep. There's a Barry. He's got his shot.
Hey everybody, Rick Barry here. Thanks for listening in to the Rick Barry Show. I am, of course, once again with my cohort in crime, the Surfman himself, Cyrus Saatsaz, and we are delighted to have joining us a fellow Hall of Fame member, a fellow coach in the Big Three, a fellow top 75 anniversary team member, and one of the greatest point guards in the history of the NBA. Garry Payton is joining us. Garry, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Rick. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Do you know, do you realize that we have something in common? Because both of us going into the NBA were the second pick in the first round. So
that's the greatest. That's the greatest pick, Rick. It's always the greatest pick.
Yeah, I mean that first guy. You know, I don't know. I mean, I know. I just read a big story about it and everything. I mean, the Knicks screwed up by not taking me. So who screwed up by not taking you?
Well, you know what? The New Jersey Nets was the first pick. I didn't want to go there anyway. So you know, it was good. I went to the right place where I wanted to go to. I went to the second pick with Seattle, and look how that turned out.
Yeah, well, Seattle, because having lived in Mercer Island and being up there and knowing how beautiful it is and all, a lot different than being in New York and New Jersey there in that area. I mean, because that's like, boy, I tell you, that's a tough place to be. You know what it's like. It's a rat race back there. There's so many people, so much going on in Seattle, so much more laid back.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Well, anyway, thanks so much for taking the time. So what was it like for you when you heard, I don't know, in the 90s, were they having that big deal like they have recently now? I don't think they were doing it where they had the big party and everybody was there to go up on the stage. They didn't have all that back then, did they?
No, Rick, we didn't have that. That was, our day was, when you guys were there, we were building up. We wasn't as like that. And this is a show now. All this is nothing but a show. So when we came, everybody knew where they was going to basically go, really. People were saying who was going to get picked, what number. And then we'll just go up there on the stage. We'll shake David Stern's hand, and then we'll go in the back and do what we got to do and leave. That was about it.
That's a big deal. Look at me, Derek. When I got a phone call. I was back in Roselle Park where I went to high school doing something over there, and I got a phone call. Oh, you were picked by the San Francisco Warriors, second pick in the draft. I mean, so we didn't even have anything. We had nothing.
Right. See, we were building up and we were just getting it. New York was just getting it. David Stern had just brought the NBA really back, like 5 years, prior to that, in 84, 86 years or something like that. And it was just starting to build, and they started having it in New York, and it was a big thing for our families. But Rick, that's basically ain't nothing but for your family. It's not for us, you know what I'm saying? Because we could stay at home and they can call us, and then we'll go to the city that we get drafted. But our family is the one who really want that stuff. They want to be on TV, show their new suits, and then today these young kids, they want to open up their coats and show everything on what they done did and all that. I'm like,
fancy outfits. They get the fancy outfits and everything else.
Yeah, I don't get that, man. I'm like, okay, you doing too much right now.
Oh, hey, yeah, listen. Well, we know it's such a different world. I mean, for you, it's different than what it is now. Can you imagine? And mine was like every bit as crazy as what they're doing now compared to you. What you did was crazy compared to what I did because there was nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing going on. I mean, the guys today sign a rookie card deal for more money than I made in my first few years playing ball.
Hey, Rick, they signing money for just to go down the street and talk about a product for what we done made. Shoot, I'm just saying, these dudes here making about $50 million a year, man, 40-something. Listen, man, that was what we done had in 2 lifetimes. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a little different.
Yeah, well, you came in at the time when Showtime was going to start up for the Lakers and got involved with all of that. And when, like you said, David Stern transformed the league with his marketing and all. It was always a great product, even when we were there, but they transformed it. I mean, they got it on prime time. They got great TV deals and all the money and everything stopped there. So for you, what was it like as a rookie coming in to be able to go and be a part of that really kind of a revolution of the NBA? You were a part of that in the 90s. So what was it like for you when you knew you got drafted and the difference between college and pro basketball?
Well, Rick, that's a great question because I was so hyped on getting in the NBA and playing against some other guys like Magic, like Isaiah Thomas, like Jordan, all Pippen, Charles Barkley. You know, we had a crew, John Stockton, Karl Malone. I was ready to play against them, but I wasn't really ready, you know, because college was different. Them guys had already been seasoned. They were groomed. Isaiah and them was just coming off winning 2 championships. I thought that I can compete with them, and it was a rude awakening because I wasn't really ready to compete. I needed to work on a little bit more of my skills. They were more seasoned, but I was so, you know, surprised and excited to get in the pros because college was, to me, I love college because I went to college for 4 years and it was great for me. That's why I stayed in college because I wasn't ready to be a man and go and make that type of money and do that type of things. So I had to really realize what I needed to do. And when I got to the pros, it was a rude awakening. You have so much money, you have so much things to do, and then you get lost on what you're supposed to be doing. And that was play basketball. And I got lost. And then when I got lost, my game went downhill. And they started thinking about trading me. And then all of a sudden, I got a guy in my life who's like a second father to me, Tim Gergerich, who took my game to a whole nother level. He made me go back to the work days when I was in Oakland, California, working for fun and trying to get to that stage, and now just stay to that stage. And he took me every day in the summer and worked me. He made me go back to summer league, playing that. In my 3rd year in the league, he made me play in the summer league. And I got back to working hard and grinding. And then that's when everything changed in my life in basketball. I started becoming an all-star. I started making all defensive teams. I started doing everything, you know, and then all of a sudden it all did. I made the Olympic team, all that stuff. So it was one of them things where I was proud to have him in my life.
Wow, I'll tell you, I didn't know that Tim was such an important influence for you, but I would assume that having to go through that type of a transition from college to the pros, thinking you're on the top of the world and realizing that you're not there, had to give you a greater appreciation for what you were able to accomplish. True or not? And what did it mean to you to be able to get to that point from where you were?
Well, Rick, that was great because I thought I was on the top of the world. Being number 2 pick, I thought I was just supposed to go in there and it was just supposed to be getting handed to me, and which it was, and it was a bad thing for me to do. And when they got handed to me, I got hit in the mouth, and I got hit in the mouth hard. And then I respected the game because when I respected the game, after I got hit so hard like that, it was just something that I had to. It was a reality check, and to go from that, you know, thinking that who I was, and then to fall off the way I fell off in my 2 years, and then to come back and be the player I was, it made me think about how hard I should work every day, how hard I should be there every day. Nothing is given to me. If I want to be on that top level, I have to work all the time. And that's what I did. I just went in the lab by myself. I didn't work with nobody. I didn't play with nobody because everybody wanted to get my spot anyway. And I wanted to get to their level. So I started working out by myself and I started taking it more serious than when I was coming in college, because college wasn't like the pros. I dominated college. And what college was is that I forgot, they were dominant in college too. And they were really good too, you know, and that's who I started becoming against. And they were probably better than me. And I didn't understand that. And I just had to work. And then when I went to work, it made it more satisfying to me to understand how to work and to get to that level. And once I started making all these all-stars, I started making all the all-leagues, I started doing all this other stuff, I said, this is where I should have been from day one. And that's what I understand. And that's why I appreciate hardworking players. When players go out and work hard, I appreciate it. And you know, I coach that way at the Big Three. You see me. I don't care how good them guys were or they was in the pros. They got to work to stay at what they want to do because they're coming back out here trying to show something. And I'll be seeing it on your face. You don't want to recruit. You don't want to draft none of them guys who are not no good because they don't come to play every night. And they take it as for granted if they just want some money. And I don't like that. I like to work and let's win for something. I'm not just in there just to be just coaching. I want to win. And that's just where I am.
Yeah, see, this is great. I had no idea about that. You know, we've known each other, we've spoken and stuff, and I was really looking forward to this interview because I knew I could get into some more in-depth stuff that I had not realize where it's a part of your life. But I mean, I just such a great learning lesson for people to understand that you have to be willing to put the effort forth in order to achieve success. If it just comes to you too easily, a lot of people can't really deal with that. And I think it destroys them. Cyrus, I know you probably have a million questions for Garry, so I'm not going to leave you out of the conversation. Go ahead.
You can. It's okay. I do. Well, I guess first things first, man. You two are in an incredibly exclusive club. Rick, you've talked about this before, and please jump in again, where you're two Hall of Famers. You're both members of that 75th anniversary team, which is such an exclusive club. But you also have kids who play in the NBA. And Garry, and I want to talk about your Oakland roots in a bit, but your son is playing for the Golden State Warriors, and he's not just playing, he's contributing. In my opinion, he is a vital, integral part of that team. What is it like watching your kid play in the NBA? Describe the emotions of that.
Well, Cyrus, that's something that I've been looking forward to. My son really came out 6 years ago. He didn't get drafted. He had a great, I think he had a great time at Oregon State. And what happened for him to follow me in my footsteps as being that person at Oregon State and doing what he did in 2 years. I thought he should have got drafted. Yeah. But as my son has to understand that he has to work hard too and get to the right situation that he did as he is in right now in Golden State. And as Rick can understand, I played with two of his sons. You know, and both of them were pretty good. You know what I'm saying? And I know this. You have to be dedicated to what you're doing. And my son in these early years, he was dedicated, but he wasn't taking it as serious as I thought he should take it. And I think that he needed to work out and listen a little bit more. I think this finally time, I think this was his almost probably on his last leg, and Golden State took him. And when Golden State took him, they didn't understand what surprise they had in the athlete they had in my son.
Right.
And what I think what it was is Steve Kerr gave him an opportunity that most coaches didn't. He let him be him. And he's being him. He's not expected to do anything because they got stars on there. They got other players that's really good. All he do is come in and change the game. He changes the game by his hustle, by his defense, by his ability to rebound the basketball, dunk the ball, give entertainment to the thing, and only play 19 minutes. And that's what he needed to do. And I think he's more comfortable with that. And his confidence has went up high. When you get a kid that his confidence stay up here and it's not down here and he guessing what I'm going to do, or am I going to come out the game, or am I going to play? And he knows he's in a set rotation and they love him and they tell him that and give him the opportunity to do it, your whole demeanor changes and your whole game changes. And I think that's the way he's been. And he's been a big part of that because a lot of the superstars are making him better because he cuts, they get him the ball. You don't have a selfish superstar. You give it to him and let him be him, and then you be your star. And I think that's what my son is into right now.
And how is it that you two both have kids who have much better hops than you? I mean, like Brent and Garry both can outleap you without any question.
Cyrus, I think that my son is really the mailman's son, so I'll let it go. I really let it go, and so it can happen. But you know, as Rick can tell and testify, his son won the dunk contest.
Yeah,
he's very athletic, and Brent. You know, Brent went to Oregon State too. Yeah. You know, it just happens. You get one of them sons that is an athlete like that, and we have one. And I'm not disappointed about that. But Rick, we gotta understand about one thing. Rick can testify to this. Our sons can't be us. There'll never be another Rick Barry. There'll never be another Garry Payton. I might name my sons after me, but they'll never be us. And they can't do the same thing we do. So we tell them to be a side of us. Put a picture aside of us and say, you was one of the great with your dad. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not disappointed in that. I'm glad my son is more athletic than me. So that means he doesn't have to be compared to me. You know what I'm saying? Having his own identity, and I like having his own identity.
That's awesome. I mean, listening to you, I mean, it's almost like this is a carbon copy. I'm hoping the same thing happens to my son Canyon, because he's just like your son. didn't get drafted, should have been drafted, was SEC player there. So the same thing. And I'm not going to tell you this is about you and not me, but man, I'm telling you, I'm listening to you. So this is a great thing. When I talk to my son later, I'm going to say, son, listen, I just got done with Garry Payton and he told me about what happened to his son. So hang in there, It's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time because he can really play, just like you know your son can play. And they don't listen to us though, do they? I'm sure you the coaches.
Rick, they don't listen to us, man. Rick, I'm telling you, my son, I've gave up on my son about talking to him about situations, man. I just say, my agent, who was Aaron Goodwin, is like a brother to me. He had me since I was 9 years old. He's seen me play and he's been around me. He turned into an agent just because I was going to go pro. But they listen to them more because we're not schooling them all the time. We're their father. We raised them. So they don't really, really want to keep hearing from us. So I said, okay, fine. It is what it is. And like Rick said, we know our kids can play. We'll say something and they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, right. All right. You're always saying the dad, whatever. Okay, that's fine. That is fine with me. I said, but you got to get your head knocked in sometime to understand what we really are talking about. We've been there. You know what I'm saying? And not to get drafted and we get drafted. You don't think we don't know what the game is about?
Yep. Exactly.
About you. Listen to what we said and try to do it and work out for you a little bit better. But they don't want to do that. They want to be their own, and that's their generation. I'm good with they've been in that generation. I'm happy. I'm just happy to be your father. I'm gonna stay your father. I'm not gonna say being your coach and nothing like that. I'm just gonna sit there and look from the distance. And every time you do something good, I'm gonna congratulate you. And I'm going to pump you up. And that's what I always tell my son now. I'm not going to call you after every game. I'm not going to be at every game. I'm right here in the Bay Area. I can go to all the Warrior games, but I don't. I pop in every now and then to make sure he understands that I support him.
Yeah, that's awesome. And unfortunately, coaches don't listen to you when you talk about your son either. They say, oh, he's just his son. And I try to preface it the same way. But anyway, I hope I have to be able to tell the same story about my son, Canyon. He gets a chance to do something. But let's get back to Garry Payton joining us here in the Rick Barry Show. So I'm sure you've had to answer it, just like I know I've had to answer questions that I've gotten many, many times. And I'm sure people who are listening who don't know the story. How did you get the nickname The Glove?
Well, in 1993-94 season, we were playing against Phoenix Suns and Kevin Johnson. We were in the NBA Western Conference Finals, as a matter of fact. And we were playing against Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson was a premier point guard at that time. He was ranked number 1. He had averaged about 27, made, I think, first team all-league or whatever. And he was averaging about 24, 25 that year. And I couldn't do nothing with him in the beginning of the year. We went back and forth. We played each other 4 times. We split, but he was having good games and I'll have a good game. But I couldn't stop him. But you can't stop really a superstar anyway. All you can do is contain him. And this time, I just buckled down. I said, forget it. Let me just sacrifice my game to try to stop him. And it came true to me. I was holding him to 14 points for the series. We was game 6. I just held him to 12 points, and we won the game to force a game 7. And my cousin called me on the phone, and he was like, glove, glove, glove. And I hung up the phone, and I was like, I don't know who that is. Somebody calling somebody, and they messing up. And he called back. He said, cuz, don't hang up the phone. It's your cousin, Glenny. I was like, man, why you call me glove? He was like, because you hold Kevin Johnson like a baseball in a catcher's mitt so tight that he can't move. He can't go nowhere and do nothing. And I said, whoa, that sounds pretty good about my defense because I am smothering. And next thing you know, we took it to the NBA. The NBA got a whiff of it. We start doing T-shirts. Seattle Supersonics start doing a lot of things with it. And they just start nicknaming me that. And next thing you know, nowadays in 2022, it's one of the greatest nicknames ever.
It
Cool.
still is. It sticks, man. No pun intended.
And see, hey, Cyrus, I want you to hear what he said, because we did this when we were doing the draft, and James Worthy came out with the guy that locked them down. And I said, give me a break. You can't lock down a scorer. And here's the guy who is known as one of the greatest defensive players in the backcourt telling you can't lock down a scorer. Shooter, yes, but not a scorer. But you can make him work harder, and he's going to have some tough days. And then if he has a bad day, you're going to do what he was able to do there to Kevin Johnson, right?
Right. And that's really the truth, Rick, because everybody started talking about Michael Jordan had a bad series against me in 96. He had a bad 3 games, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I didn't guard him for the first 3. I didn't even go in there. I wanted to guard him, but I was hurt. It is what it is. But when I did guard him, I didn't never go in there saying I'm going to stop Michael Jordan, because that's unrealistic. Just don't even say that. I was a defensive player of the year. He was MVP of the year. So it was like, are we going to try to clash and make a entertainment out of it? And all I did was make Michael Jordan work. That's it. I just made him work. I mean, I got him off the spot. I made him do things that he has never done all the time. I made him do different stuff. And when you do different stuff, you got to adjust to that. But you trying to adjust to it, but I'm still working and I'm still being a pest. So if you make him take shots that he's not used to and he's not comfortable, he's going to miss them shots. Yep. And then I can get in a row, and then he's worried about me on the other end trying to defend me. Then that becomes a advantage for me. And that's all I did. I just tried to work him, and then Phil Jackson got a little smart. He switched. He switched the bigger man on me and Scottie Pippen, made me work a little bit more on the offensive end, and then it tired me down. And that's it. I just contained him. If you contain somebody that scored average 23 and he was just scoring average 30, okay, he's still getting 23. So you know what I'm saying? I was just trying to contain.
Yeah, well, then you did a hell of a job of that. I mean, obviously one of the best. Garry Payton joining me here in the Rick Barry Show, along with Cyrus Saatsaz. Appreciate your joining us. And you just brought up a point that I wanted to get into. I don't know if people realize. I mean, you had multiple seasons where you did also not only play the tough defense and all, but you averaged over 20 points a game.
Yep.
But what was your mentality going into games as a point guard? Because to me, this thing about the scoring point guard, I want a point guard to play with that wants to pass the ball first. Okay. So what was your philosophy?
Well, Rick, my philosophy was to do whatever it takes for me to win a basketball game for my team. I wasn't worried about myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, and as you know, we can score when we want to. That's not the object of here. I'm not trying to go out there and put my name in the paper that I have 40, and next thing you know, our team loses by 20. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to make my whole team be better. How can I do that? So my mindset was to go in and do this. All right, let me intimidate the player that's playing against me, and let me get him out the game and get him scared so I can make my game easier. So then what I would do was, and I would say, okay, let me see who's going to be hot today. If Detlef was hot, or Sean was hot, or Hershey Hawkins, or Sam Perkins hot, I'm going to get them off. And if they're getting off, I'm going to get 4 and 5 and 6 assists. And that doesn't make a difference. Then I'm getting a lot of steals. And then I'm going to have about 3 or 4 points. And then I'll take a quarter where when they get on the break, I can be the one who dominates the game. I'll get 3 and 4 buckets. Next thing you know, that's 10 points. I'm already at 10. So I'm good. If I get a couple of free throws here, I'm 12, 14. But by this time, I've got 14 and 8, 14 and 7, with 4 rebounds and about 3 steals. Then all of a sudden, when it's time to go and it's clutch time and it's go time, I'm just making everybody better. In the fourth quarter, either I'm going to get the win or I'm going to make a great play. I'm going to do something that's going to be beneficial to my team. And by that time, when I look up, we've won a game. I've got 24, 10, and 6, and 4 steals. That's a great game. I don't need anything else. I don't need nothing else. I don't need 40 and 50 points. As you look at it, Rick, I've never scored over 45 in my career. I scored 45. That's it. I never thought about going for 50s. I never thought about doing that type of stuff because that wasn't my game. My game was to get the job done, get my team to be who they are, get a win, and just continue to get wins and make my teammates better.
So what was it like? Because I told people today, if I could come back and get young enough to play again, I would be a point guard. I would play point guard at my size now with my quickness and speed and stuff. And here's why for me. because I know I control the destiny of my team. The ball is in my hands. How did you approach that part of it?
Same way, Rick. I knew that I had the ball in my hand and that George Karl was going to give me that opportunity to make the team better. He never looked over to me to call plays. He never told me to call plays because I was smart enough to run a play and see what's on the floor and what the mismatch was. So I would run that play. If I seen that it was a mismatch with Sam Perkins, I would get a pick across and get him to the ball, to the block, or I'll set him up for a three. If it was Sean Kemp, I'll put him on the block. If it was Detlef in the mid-range, I would run a play that was going to get Detlef a cross screen or a down pick to get him a wide open shot. That was just me. I like me controlling the game because I got the ball in my hand and I can control the destiny of anything. I can make whatever happen if I control that ball. And when I control that ball and my other teammates know that I can control the ball and I'm going to make something special happen and I'm going to get them the ball at the right time, I'm satisfied with that. I'm glad I was a point guard because that is what I learned. I learned how to be a leader. It learns you how to be a leader and how to control the team. And when you got players that follow you and see what you do, it's a lot easier to control the basketball team.
And folks, listen to this. You're hearing this from Garry Payton, our guest here on the Rick Barry Show, Hall of Famer, 75th anniversary team, multiple all defensive player of the year. I mean, made so many all defensive teams. It's kind of crazy, but he just told you the way I was taught the game needs to be played, because he was a coach on the floor, and he was lucky enough to have a coach that allowed him to do that. So God bless George Karl for doing that. Oh, I see periodically up in Denver, have some lunches over at Big Bill's Pizza Place.
Yeah.
But he was smart. You see, to me, coaches, this is the whole thing, Gary. You've been around enough. Some coaches don't understand who they have as a player and allow him and put him in situations to do what he does best, and they make them play in their system. And that drives me absolutely insane, because you waste talent that way. Rick,
I'm agreeing with you 100%, because I think these coaches nowadays, all they do is go and get talent. And then when they get talent, they get it at a certain position. And then they want that position to be that guy. They don't understand an all-around basketball player who can change the game. And I hate that to the fullest. If a guy can change the game, I don't care if he can score, he can't score, he can't shoot, then use him in a way that he's going to do it. And I'm going to give you an example of a guy on the big three, Rick, and you know he's on my team, and that's Reggie Evans. Right. He can't shoot the basketball. He can't do nothing. He can't shoot free throws that well, but he can do everything else. He's a hustle guy. He's a rebound guy. He's going to be doing the grit and grind things for your team. He's going to just get on the floor and do what he can, and that makes his ability be better. They didn't use him that way in the pros. When we drafted him in Seattle, we just used him as to be the grind guy, which we needed him for. We didn't need nothing else. And these are the type of players that you got to give an opportunity to do that and make them be special in their way. Not the way you want to make them. They're not that type of basketball player. Make them special in what they do. And I think when you put a player in there and just say, do what you do, I'm going to give you 15 minutes. Go do what you're going to do. And if you do something special for me, don't worry about it. You're going to stay on the floor. And that's what I think that players and coaches should understand. Give a player an opportunity to do that.
I got lucky and had a guy finally this year, because, I didn't get to pick players, as you know, in the big three, but Leandro Barbosa is like that.
Oh.
I mean, He's still at his age, can still play and do things. And he surprised the hell out of me with how good he shoots the 3-point shot as well. But I just let him go,
right.
Let him go. I mean, this guy, there isn't anybody can stop him. He's so dang quick still. He's 38 years of age.
Yes.
So it's going to be fun this year. So hopefully we'll be back there competing in the big three as well. Garry Payton joining me here in the Rick Barry Show. So, okay. It's coming up pretty close to All-Star time. What is your thought about what's happened to the All-Star game?
Well, Rick, it's entertainment.
Okay, thank you. You answered my question right there.
Adam knows what is selling now in basketball. You know, young kids watch this game more than the older guys now, because I think with me and Rick's mentality, when we played basketball, it was a little different and a little bit more rougher and competitive, you know, and a lot more. You know what I'm saying? We did it a little different. So we don't really like watching basketball like that because it's a show. You know what I'm saying? It's a show. And I don't have no grime about it. There's no grip and grime about it. That is what it is. If that's the way we're going to show it, because you got to understand, kids are watching this, and what they do is they go on a PlayStation, Xbox. They be like, whoa, why do you think Stephen Curry is so popular? Because he plays the game just like he plays the Xbox, and these kids look at that. That is what it is. And we got to understand that. So like, you know, the show is the dunk contest. We got people voting for it online. You know what I'm saying? And if they do the best dunk or whatever, and they try it, people are trying to do that in their gyms. And we see that. And I'm good with it, Rick, because we can't do anything about it. It's a show just like anybody else. Yeah. We can't do nothing. As long as we keep talking about, oh, it's soft, oh, is that, it's not going to change, because kids are going to do the same thing. And what the NBA is going to do, they're going to sell their product. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're supposed to do. Sell your product. And, we're going to go to the All-Star game. We're going to have fun with each other for the 75 thing. But we're going to have fun at the game too. But I'm just saying, we just got to adjust to it. I know you hate it. I know I hate it. I'm just going to adjust to it, because I just want to see these kids have fun the way they're going to have it, because we can't change it. Yeah. We're not going to.
Here's the thing, Gary. It is entertainment, and it's fine if you go there with the thing. And I just wish they would call it the All-Star exhibition, because it's not a game. Okay, it's an exhibition. They're showing off. They're doing stuff. It's entertainment, and it's wonderful. And you see things there that you'll never see. I mean, it's just incredible. That's what I love about basketball. I mean, you can see more amazing things in a basketball game than you see sometimes in a month of games in a baseball game. I mean, occasionally you see a great play somebody does here, but man, time after time, these guys are so athletic. And it's great. I just wish they would go ahead and go back and figure out when it all changed and put an asterisk in that. Don't be giving these guys a record of scoring points. That wasn't a game. It wasn't even competitive.
I will say this, Rick, for the people who love to bet, I have a friend who does. If you bet the over on those games year after year, you're making a killing, because no one's playing defense in those games. Gary, my earliest memory of you was, I believe it was 1991. The Golden State Warriors had just broken up, Run TMC, and that next year they actually were the third seed. They were a solid team, and you guys showed up and just bounced them right out. And that was really the start of people noticing the Seattle Supersonics, like, whoa, this is a team to be reckoned with. And then a few years later, you're in the NBA Finals playing against Jordan. The last summer or 2 summers ago, whenever that was, when the pandemic hit, there's those sports, everyone watched The Last Dance, which means everyone was watching that episode with you. What was your feedback, and what were the emotions going through you watching this? And did you talk to Jordan afterwards? And what kind of feedback did you get?
Cyrus, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never watched The Last Dance ever. I haven't even watched. I haven't watched the whole thing. None. I don't get into that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, whatever he said, I would be disappointed with him if he didn't say it. You know what I'm saying? Because
right. Yeah. Yes.
If a guy bow down to another guy, I think that loses respect from a lot of people. I don't care what he said. I know what happened, and he knows what happened. It's his documentary. Do what he want to do. I'm not gonna get on the phone with Jordan. I'm not gonna do that. I've seen him twice. Said hello. Cool. We've been at the Hall of Fame ceremony twice now. Seen him both times. No problems. I don't have any problems with that. I'm not going to go back and forth with him. We're too old for that. That was 1996. It is what it is. He won. I lost. It is what it is. I don't care. I mean, we all the same. We're Hall of Famers. 75. We all equal to me. We played the game. I got drafted like he did. And I think I did. I had a great career like he had a great career. Yeah. He won more championships and awards, but I'm there too in the awards. So I don't care. You know what I'm saying? So whatever he said, fine with me. I'm not going to go back and forth with him.
I don't think he said anything bad. It was just for me, for someone like me, who's a historian who watched this game since he was like a 7-year-old kid in the 80s. I mean, I was just taking so much joy watching this, because I remember that series, and you have a point. I remember that. It wasn't until game 4 when you were put on Jordan and you made a difference. I mean, I don't know if the outcome in the end would have changed, but you both are also NBA champions. Do you feel like it would have made that much of it? Did it, or let me rephrase this, did it make that much of a difference going to LA and winning that championship? Like, did it feel like an exclamation point, or would you have been happy regardless?
I don't care. I mean, people always say a championship makes a player. I mean, it didn't make John Stockton. It didn't make Karl Malone. It didn't make Charles Barkley.
True.
They never won a championship. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? They're going to be the same people. You know, it's better to say that you are a champion. Okay, that's fine. You know, they're doing the same thing. When we go next week, they're gonna be sitting up, they're gonna be standing up there at halftime with me and Rick the same way that anybody else who won a championship. All they're gonna do is just say we got a ring. And I don't know where my ring at. I ain't seen it in a long time.
Are you serious?
But it's probably a deposit box. But I gave all my stuff to my mom. And you know, I think it's in the safe deposit box or something when my mom passed or whatever. And I think we got it back and all that. But I'm really not caring about a ring or nothing like that. I don't care about that. I'm serious. I don't really get into that. I don't get into that type of situation because it doesn't make a difference to me. We play basketball for fun. It was fun. When we were playing basketball for fun and wasn't making no money, we were happy. Then we started making money. It started becoming serious. I'm like, yo, man, we should still be happy because we getting a bonus. We're getting money now. You know what I'm saying? So me, I don't care about that. If I wouldn't have won one, it is what it is. But I made it a point to go out and try to win one.
Yeah.
I made it a point to go out and try to win one. And it happened. But if it didn't happen, I wouldn't have cared about it.
Yeah, here's the thing. What I always said about it, and I think he's made a very valid point here, Cyrus, is what he's saying about, is that what I talked about, when they do these rankings of players and they give them who's this and who's that, they give a lot of extra credit to being on championship teams. Hey, you don't win by yourself. What does that have to do with your talent and your skill? You weren't lucky enough to be on a team that had good enough players to help you win a championship. So why are you getting more credit because you were on championship teams? Crazy. Absolutely. And I agree with you.
I hate that too, Rick, because you just think about it. I ran into Michael Jordan too. Then Carl and John ran into him 2 years and he beat them both times. Then Charles ran into him in 1994 after they beat us and they lost to him. It was just so happened that we ran into a guy who was more lucky and fortunate than us in probably a better team. We don't know that, but it just happened. But it is what it is, man. We just didn't probably have a better unit to get over the top at the time, but we were there. The better team won. You know, we didn't play that year. You know, it just didn't happen that year. But I just say, don't give nobody more credit because they won a championship. I'm talking about skill-wise. Skills. When he went against me, what did I do against him? What happened against us? You know what I'm saying? That's skills. We just got skills.
I'm so happy I've had you on here because you're validating things that Cyrus has been talking about forever. I mean, I keep trying to tell people all of this stuff. It's just so stupid what these so-called talking heads who think they know the game of basketball, never played at that level, they have no really clue of what the hell is going on. This is Rick Barry and the Rick Barry Show with Cyrus Saatsaz and my guest, Hall of Famer, top 75 player, Garry Payton. Appreciate him taking all of this time. Very curious as to what it was like for you. I mean, you loved your time up there in Seattle, and then all of a sudden you leave and you wind up playing for what, four different teams, I guess, right? You played for Milwaukee and then the Lakers where you got that championship, and then Boston, and finished up with Miami. What was that like for you?
That's right.
You know what, Rick? It was hard for me the first time when I got traded to Milwaukee. When I got traded to Milwaukee, it was really, really hard because I wasn't ready to leave Seattle. I played for Milwaukee for 2 months, and then I decided to go to LA because we did the super team thing, Kobe, Shaq, and Carl and myself. That team was good, but we just didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? I think Kobe was going through what he was going through. Shaq was too. Carl got hurt. And that year I played mostly by myself with a lot of guys who were guys that I just thought that was just diehard warriors, guys that nobody looked like they were going to be basketball players, and we made it to the finals. You know, then I go to Boston, and I went with Doc Rivers. Paul would play with Paul Pierce. Antoine Walker. We did it. We made a good run. We made it to the first year of the playoffs. But at this time, Rick, I was just thinking about trying to win a championship and retire. I was always 15, 16 years in the league. I was 37 years old. I wasn't really rare. Basketball was fading off for me. It wasn't being fun anymore. So I was just trying to say, and I was listening to that stupid stuff of win the championship to solidify who you are. Then I started thinking about it. I'm like, how do I supposed to get a championship to solidify who I was? If I look back on my career, look at all the stuff I've done. How the heck I'm going to solidify a championship, going to solidify what I did in 16, 17 years? That's crazy. So at the end of my year, when I won a championship, I was just like, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I'm not going to try to sit here for 3-4 more years and collect checks and all that stuff. Let me live my life. I'm young. I'm 37 years old. I got a whole life to live forward to. Ain't nobody ever retired like that in 37. You know what I'm saying? In the prime. And I made as much money as I did. I said, man, let me go on and live my life, be around my kids, and do the other stuff. And that's all I did. I just said, man, I was taking 1-year deals, and that's all I was doing. After Seattle, I took 1-year deals. And then I said, if it work here, it work. If it don't, it don't. Let me move on.
Well, that's a great attitude.
I can relate to that. You know, my thing is I said after we won the championship in 75, I said, boy, I wish I could retire right now. It would be the greatest thing ever to walk out on top like this. But the thing is, I love playing basketball. I was still young. I wanted to play. In fact, I would have kept playing, Gary. I would have done what you did. So many guys wound up going in Boston late in their career. I was going to play for the Celtics, but they changed the rules in basketball in 1980 from 12-man rosters to 11 to save money. So that tells you where the NBA has come from 1980. So you got in just at the right time when it was really exploding, okay?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have played, man. I had a knee operation, and hell, I felt so good playing, and I went overseas on a tour and played with Phil Jackson, actually, who was a coach, and played with Bobby Dandridge and a bunch of other guys. And and Pete Maravich, and we had a great time doing it, but I never got to play and you know, another real super competitive game on the pro level after that. But I can see where you were coming from. I would have done it if I could have. So of all the things, what was your favorite memory in your all-star career? Obviously you were on multiple all-star teams doing stuff. You were a 9-time all NBA player, 9-time all-star. So what game stands out for you?
You know, Rick, no game stands out for me. Only thing stands out for me is when I went to the all-star game and was in that locker room. When I was in that locker room with the guys that I was fighting against every year, and I was trying to beat them down every year to find out who they were as men and their families as what they were. I wanted to get at John Stockton so much every year, and I hated him. And then when I got into the locker room and met him as a person, I started admiring him. And Rick, you know this now. He's probably one of my favorite people in the world.
Wow.
You know, one of my favorite people in the world. You know, I respected him the way he made my game be, because I always wanted to beat him. But when I went into the locker room and met him as a person and got to hang out with him, then I went to the Olympics with him, went on Dream Team 2, got to stay with him for 3 months. I met him as that. Then I met Karl Malone. I met all these guys in the locker room. That was my greatest moment, to meet these guys and then go to practice and we joke around and be with each other and then come on and compete on that Sunday in an all-star game. And then I knowing that the next day on Monday, I got to get back to hating them again. But I really know who they are. I was really happy about that. That was the biggest moment for me, to just hang out with them for 3 days from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then just meet them and know who they were. That was the biggest moment all-star ever.
Incredible.
That's very well stated.
They say the NBA fraternity is the greatest fraternity, and every time I hear these interviews, it just confirms it. It really does. If you don't mind, I got one more question for you, Gary, and then I'll sit back. You know, you and Dame Lillard have an interesting relationship, in the sense that you both have those Oakland roots. You're raised from there. You both play for Pacific Northwest teams, but everyone here in the Bay Area still loves you. Like you guys are that rare type of individual that, even though you're on the opposing team, when you're here, there's a lot of respect. Like people here love you, especially with your son now playing, but even way before that. And Dame Lillard has a similar kind of love here in the Bay Area. Tell us about your Oakland roots, man. Like what was your upbringing here, and do you still come back? Like, just tell us all about that, please.
Yeah, Cyrus. I'm living back in the Bay Area now because I took the head job with the Lincoln University, a small university, a private university here, which I took over because of Oakland. I wanted to bring Oakland back on the map and bring basketball back here because we've lost Golden State, we lost the Oakland Raiders, we only got the A's. The A's are trying to leave. I wanted to bring back to this Oakland roots. Growing up in Oakland was the greatest thing of my life because it taught me how to be that tough guy. Taught me how to deal with a lot of things, especially as my father raised me as my coach until I got into high school. It's like that. Dame went through the same thing. He growing up in Brookfield, which is a rough place to grow up in. You know, I grew up in East Oakland, where it was another rough place to go.
Yes, it is.
Grow up in. So I'm like, we have roots here because, and the fans here know what we went through to get out of that. You know, we didn't have to play basketball. We could have went somewhere else and did something else and became the typical guys who got lost in the streets. But we decided not to because of the parents our fathers who we had to push us. And with my young guy and Dame, I love him so much because he's real different. He don't know nothing about them streets. He might have been around it and seen it, but he's not that type of guy. If you talk to Dame, he's really different. He's really different. He's a kid who was humble. He doesn't go out. He doesn't do none of that type of situation. He stays in Portland. He comes home to see his grandmother and his father and stuff now. He's a family man. He's moved all his family up to Portland, gave them jobs with Adidas, did things like that. He starts things here. He comes back and gives picnics here in Oakland at his where he's raised in Brookfield. He donates a lot of stuff as I do. And I think the people love us because we come back to our neighborhood and don't act like we're bigger than anybody else.
Right.
No, I'm not bigger than no one. I just was raised here. And they just gave me an opportunity to play basketball, and I took advantage of it. And I used my talents to get better. So I go out, I go to the same places. I might not hang out, but if I see somebody I knew and I grew up with, I'll say, yo, let me buy you a drink. Let me buy you dinner. And then I'll leave. And they'll be like, man, he's still that same guy. He doesn't think he's bigger than nobody. And that's why people love us, because we do that. We stay out and stay in the community. We go to the places like that. And that's what it is. We don't not leave Oakland and don't come back. We come and visit. We come and be there. You know, my brother has a church in West Oakland. I'm there every Sunday now.
Wow.
And people enjoy that. And when I come to church, it's a lot of people who want to get autographs and get pictures all the time. And I don't say no. I say yes. And that's why they love us, because we do this and we stay in the community.
Mm.
Good for you.
Bravo.
That's awesome that you have that type of an attitude. One last thing, and I really appreciate all the time that you're taking, but it's been fun for me. I hope it's been fun for you.
Fun for me.
Let's talk, because you brought up and you said something about getting in the locker room. So obviously getting in the locker room, knowing the players, getting to meet the guys that you admire, that you've competed against, and to have that camaraderie for a short period of time is wonderful. I agree 100% with you. But what was it like as far as your memories of being a part of such a special team, that dream team that you were on?
Ooh, Rick, that was the most fun thing ever. To me, to tell me that I was 12 of the greatest basketball players to go represent their country was big for me. It was really big. And plus, I got to play with 6 of the original dream teams.
Right.
And we had 6 added, I was one of the 6. And to go in and compete against them every day. Lenny Wilkins was our coach, and he let us compete. Just let us compete. And I competed against Jerry Sloan was our coach. I competed against John Stockton every day. I competed against Reggie Miller every day. I competed against Mitch Richmond every day. Olajuwon, David Robinson, Shaq, Grant Hill,
My Lord.
Charles Barkley. We were having a ball. And I mean, the funnest thing was every day at practice. practice because we didn't know what we were going to do in practice because we was competing so tough. And then by the time we get to the games, we beating people by 40. It's like, that was an experience that I'll never forget. You know, the 1996 Olympics Dream Team 2, where we went and played on our own soil in Atlanta, won the gold medal. We had the controversy of when the bombs went off. We were right there for it, and we got to go and help that out and go over there and help and get that corrected, and then be out there in the public to tell people that this was a tragic. And this would be a part of it. This would be a part of that. And the women's team, that was when they were starting to become really, really good too, and win the gold medals. But it was like we was all together. We was together for 3 months, and we did a tour. And you remember during that time, Rick, they would go to everybody's city. We would play in 12 different cities, an exhibition game. And we went to everybody's city, and everybody got to do what they wanted to do. Carl Malone and John with the Utah, and we got on. Carl had 12 motorcycle policemen there because the motorcycle guy. We got off the plane. Everybody jumped on one motorcycle, every player, and we rode down to Utah, and they had a welcome for us, which was real cool. You know what I'm saying? That was cool, man. And we went to Orlando, and Shaq set it out. Him and Penny set it out, and at the Disney World, Seattle. I took everybody to the Space Needle, and on the boat on the Queen Mary. It was just cool, man. It was just cool to be on an Olympic team like that.
Boy, I have to say, I am jealous of you but I appreciate it because, listen, I was there watching you. I was in the hotel because my wife was in charge of the women's team. And so I got to see you. I was there when the bomb went off doing it, and they woke us up and all. So it was a great experience, but I can't even imagine what it had been like. But for me, the one time only I had USA on my chest when I played against the Soviet team when I was in college. When that national anthem played, I never was so more proud to be an American, and I can't even imagine what it was like for you to have a gold medal hanging around your neck.
And Rick, that's what I tell everybody every time that I had the fortune to win 2 gold medals. And everybody say, what was the proudest moment of basketball that you ever was? And I always mention the Olympics. That was my proudest moment ever. For me to bow my head down and they put that thing on, put that gold medal around my neck, and millions of people watch me, and I got the USA on my chest. I always tell these people, think about the armed forces who are over in different countries getting shot at and bombs at them, and they come back with either no hands, no legs, and got mental problems, and they're doing it for free. And we're getting something for this and getting something out of this, even if it's endorsements or whatever. They're giving us, making us safe to plan these type of situations and keep it safe. And we never give them no kind of credit because that's the credit that they need, because they're giving us the opportunity to say USA on our chest. So you should be proud to represent our country. You should be proud to do that. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud that I had the chance to do 2 times of it and win it and say that we're the greatest, country of all time, and that's just the way I feel about it.
And are your medals in that safety security deposit box with your?
Everything is in the same. Everything is in the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, that's a great way, I think, to end this, folks, is because I've always felt that one of the most discriminated against people in this country that we have is our servicemen who put their lives on the line for us, and we wouldn't be where we are today and have the country we have without them. So God bless all of them, and I'm so glad to hear you say that. Well spoken. So. Anyway, listen, I know you probably have other things to do. This has been absolutely awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the ceremony for the 75th anniversary in Cleveland. And looking forward to competing against you, hopefully again next season in the Big Three. So that I can have a team that will actually get to the playoffs this year, because I hate losing, Gary.
I know, Rick, I know. And you know what, Rick? I've been fortunate to go to the playoffs every year I've been in here. In the Big Three, and I done went to the championship twice and lost. But Rick, I know I'd be seeing it on Rick's face every time. He be hating it. I be like, Rick, you gonna get a good team sooner or later, man. You gonna get somebody good sooner or later. But it's coming though, man. But we have a good time in the summers. I love it. I love seeing you guys every summer because it's always good to see you every week. You know, because we, like I said, Rick, we don't know when we're gonna leave here. You know what I'm saying? And to see friends every time and see us healthy and getting around. Because we done seen a lot of guys in the big three that went and gone and passed away too. And that we just gotta enjoy our time together. And that's what I say. When next week comes, I'm gonna enjoy myself being with the other 74 guys. You know what I'm saying? Because it's an honor and a privilege. Because this life is just too short. A lot of things have been going on for the last 2 years, and we just got to enjoy each other. That's it.
Right.
Enjoy each other, be happy with each other, and just, just pray every day that we're going to see each other on a consistent basis.
I hope so too. Yeah, I hope so. And we have to thank Ice Cube for coming up with this concept because it's been really great. It's been so much fun to hang out with you guys and see you guys where we're going to different cities. And hopefully COVID will get itself crazy and get out of the way. And we can get back to the fun that we had going to the other cities and doing it and not have to have all of this lockdown stuff that we had to go through. So
and Garry, I want to thank you. It was really nice to meet you, man. Your attitude is incredible. You and Rick, it shocks me how similar you two are. Promote away, by the way. You got social media, you got websites, you got projects. Please promote before we let you go. Anything you want to promote.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of things going on. I got a tech company, which is called Game On. You can go and look it up. It's a pretty nice tech company. I'm doing the NFTs and all that stuff right now. I've got a cannabis company that I'm involved with. My Strand, I got a Strand, which is, I'm doing it because of medical reasons, because of where my mother died from. And I'm trying to get people who are not getting, having their other significant or their mother or something struggling, to give them a joy until their life is in it and happy, have them the same way. You know what I'm saying? Or can change it, get all that medication out of them, come to something free. You know what I'm saying? And not doing that, I got a company called General Principle in the cannabis. I got a product out as Payton's Place over in the East Coast. I'm with a company called Cookies. I got Seattle. I got a lot of restaurants up there that I'm doing a lot of business up there in Seattle with that. I'm just trying to break into stuff that's going to help other people. My foundation, Garry Payton Foundation, is big about giving scholarships here in the Bay Area to a lot of kids who need it, who don't have the money to go to school, but have the grades and have the ability to get there. And I give them a boost by giving them money to get into these schools, start them off, get them grants and Pell grants and stuff like that to keep them continuing to stay in the school. And I'm helping with that, with scholarships and stuff like that. And I'm just trying to be a part of some kid's life. Taking this job as what I did at Lincoln University here. I'm trying to get kids that lost cracks, who got through cracks and, they didn't make it at grades. And then I can get them, bring them in, see if I can get their grades right, get them into school, get them to learning how to study, how to do their homework. And I think I got a couple of good kids that lost that were great basketball players, just couldn't get in because of their grades. I'm getting them into school, getting them into summer school in the summer, making them be eligible to play. And then all of a sudden teaching them as we play basketball and getting somebody to look at them to learn how to understand. You break your leg or anything, you might not be a basketball player, but you can be great as a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher. You can be great as anything, a politician. You can be great at anything. Anything.
Absolutely right.
And you can be this the same way we're sitting here talking. People can follow you. You don't have to be a pro player. So that's what I'm trying to teach them, to get some goals in their life. That's it. Just get goals in your life to be somebody. Get out of this situation where you want to be in these streets. You don't need to be in those streets. You need to be teaching somebody in 15 to 20 years. You're going to be talking to some kids like I'm talking to you, and you're going to be looking at them and saying, I was the one who motivated him to be up there to do this for other people. And that's all I'm trying to do.
It amazes me the NBA hasn't granted Seattle an expansion team yet. I don't know what they're waiting for. If and when that happens, I could see Garry honestly like running that thing. I mean, they love you in Seattle. I got so much family up there. And anyways, thank you so much, Garry. Thank you.
Pleasure. Yeah, we're gonna get
the opportunity. Garry, here's the thing. They need to get more people like a Garry Payton involved in the league to do the things that necessary. I mean, I don't care how much you've watched the game, how much you study the game. There are things about the game that you will never know and appreciate if you didn't play the game at that particular level. And listening to you, Garry, and I've learned more about you in this interview. I mean, obviously we've spoken and stuff before, but this has been very enlightening to me and incredibly impressed with what you've done with your life, what you've gone through to get to where you are. And the fact, more importantly than anything else, Garry, that you appreciate what life has given you and God has given you, and you've made the most of it. So God bless you and your family for that.
Thank you, Rick, and I appreciate that. Being around you and you hear things about people and they say stuff. And every time I be around Rick, it's a pleasure to be around you. You know, me and you always on the same page. I just hate people that try to tell me about people and then I get to know them and they're a whole different atmosphere and they're a whole different person. And once you called me and said, get on your podcast, it's an honor for me to be on your podcast because I talk about you and Larry Bird as one of the greatest players I've seen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like honored to even be on your podcast. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. And every time I be around you, I always want to pick your brain and knowledge about anything. You know what I'm saying?
Well, all the best to you. If I get a chance to help talk to any of your players when you're doing your new thing, good luck with that as well. And have safe travels to Cleveland. I'll look forward to seeing you next weekend.
I see you next weekend. Thank you. I appreciate it all.
Thank you so much.
Gary. Nice meeting you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. So that was a lot of fun, folks. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I think you got an idea as to who Garry Payton is as a person. I'm sure you probably have a different opinion of him than you might have had before. But it's always fun to sit down and have a conversation with people. I love greatness. Garry was a great player and learned a lot about him in this interview. So that was a lot of fun. I know you enjoyed it, Cyrus, because you're such a basketball junkie. Anyway, we'll look forward to our next time on the Rick Barry Show. You never know who's going to pop up. And it's, like I say, to me, doing the show and having opportunities to have conversations like this with people like Garry Payton makes it all worthwhile. So God bless all of you.
And before we go, Rick, before we go, Valentine's Day is coming up. I saw you promote a Cameo on Twitter, and you can follow Rick Barry on social media at Rick24Barry. Go cameo.com, right? You could actually order a personalized message from Rick Barry to your loved one. What a gift. And what else? You got other stuff going on too. Medicinal.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, we have the Medicaleaf, medicaleaf.com, medicaleaf.com. 24 is the code. Cannabinoid products. So you said Gary's into stuff as well in that area. And ours doesn't have the THC, but his does from the medical end standpoint. And Go Sleeves, GOSLEEVES, GoSleeves.com, and that's RB24 is the code for that, small letter RB24. Great products. I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm hoping that they were getting it and get Draymond to use this stuff. It's got kinesio tape into it. It's a good product, and I try to get Clay to put it on, to use it for. It's great for after games even to put it on. I mean, but I'm hoping that they'll start using it because guys are going down and these are great products. I use them myself all the time. So it is what it is. Meanwhile, I'll focus on my pickleball. I got a pickleball tournament next week down in Mesa for the PPA with Disaleaf. So hopefully I'll go down there and win a couple more medals. And all the best to everybody.
You've been hyping up pickleball as the number one growing sport in the country, I believe.
And it might be in the world. Somebody was saying it could be the fastest growing sport in the world. I think like 60 different countries are getting into it now. I mean, it's just going to continue to expand because it's so much fun and people of all ages can play it. It doesn't beat you up like tennis does. It doesn't require the athleticism and skills that a tennis player needs to have. Because it's easy to serve. You just serve an underhanded serve. You don't have to do a lot of walking, a lot of pounding on your body and a lot of running back and forth like you do in singles tennis. And even in doubles, it's a smaller court, so it's fun. You should. I highly recommend it to anybody to definitely give it a try. So maybe I'll see you out there in the pickleball court sometime.
And your forehand is wicked. I saw that on.
Well, I actually have a really good
backhand.
Real hard backhand put away when I'm up at the net. So it's good. Anyway, all the best to everybody. We'll look forward to the next show.